welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday and also an amazing week. Today we're having a small recap on Exodus 16 and we're reading Exodus 17 through 18. And it starts with, the entire Israelite community departed from Elim and came to the wilderness of Sin. And then on verse 2 it says, the entire Israel community grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in the land of Egypt, when we sat by pots of meat and ate all the bread we wanted. Instead, you brought us into the wilderness to make this whole assembly die of hunger.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.
And I wrote, they went from singing to complaining real quick. They have selective memory, but we're human. Verse 4 says, the Lord said to Moses, I am going to rain bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. This way I will test them to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather on other days. Okay, even though we're human beings of like that complains a lot, at times you need to know when to just rely on the Lord. If you have previous history that God has brought you you get what I'm trying to say, like God has provided you back then, what makes you think that he won't provide for you now, type of thing. Yeah. And I wrote that God heard their grumbling. And down to verse 8 it says, the Lord will give you, so that's Moses telling them, the Lord will give you meat to eat this evening and all the bread you want in the morning, for he has heard the complaints that you are raising against him. Who are we? Your complaints are not against us but against the Lord. And down to verse 19 I highlighted that Moses said to them, no one is to let any of it remain until morning, but they didn't listen to Moses. Some people left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stunk. Therefore Moses was angry with them. And I wrote that, right, why are you complaining to Moses and Aaron? Why don't you go straight to the source, to God? Go complain to God yourself. This to me shows me that they kind of lacked their own intimacy with God. They simply went to Moses as a vessel to speak to God when they should call out directly to God. God was testing them for greed and faith, that he would provide more for them the next day. And because since this was homework, that's why I'm not fully reading it, but chapter 16 verse 21, whatever it said, I wrote that God's permission and mercy on them. And now we could read chapter 17. Okay, and it says, the entire Israelite community left the wilderness of Sin, moving from one place to the next according to the Lord's command. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So the people complained to Moses, give us water to drink. Why are you complaining to me? Moses replied to them, why are you testing the Lord? But the people thirst there for water and grumbled against Moses. They said, why did you ever bring us from Egypt to kill us and our children, our livestock with thirst? You were out of food literally 2 days ago and God provided. Now you're out of water. Have faith that God is gonna provide with water. I should be talking to myself like that. Okay, anyway. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, what should I do with these people? In a little while they will stone me. No, literally. But I wrote that this was the right way to lead them to the solution, by turning to God in prayer. Even though Moses was in like a tough situation, like, yeah, this is a lot of stress. Anyway, um, the Lord answered Moses, "Go on ahead of the people and take some of the elders of Israelite with you. Take the staff you struck the Nile with your hand and go. I am going to stand there in front of you on the rock at Horeb. When you hit the rock, water will come out of it and the people will drink." Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israelite. He named the place Massa and Meribah, because the Israelites complained and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" I wrote "wow" beside it, and I'll read my notes a little bit. It's kind of a lot, but I said lack of trust, question mark. God gave clear instructions. Don't second guess who he is. Their lack of faith after seeing the impossible, lack of obedience when this is two separate sentences, but lack of obedience when God gave clear instructions through Moses. What was supposed to be a quick trip to their promised land after being oppressed for so long got delayed because they couldn't fully surrender to God. Them wandering for 40 years was God's punishment. Well, this was before now my thought process now feels like, I don't know, even though it feels like it was God's punishment, I feel like they learned a lot. Did they? Because even when they reached the promised land, they still never mind. I'm gonna keep going. Israel did exactly what God commanded, following the pillar of cloud and fire, yet there was no water to drink. They were in the will of God, but in a difficult time. It is possible to be completely in the will of God, yet also being in a season of great problem. Now we could read verse 8, where it says, "At Rephidim, Amalek came and fought against Israel. Moses said to Joshua, select some men for us and go fight against Amalek." Or Amalek. Amalek. "Tomorrow I will stand on the hilltop with God's staff in my hand." I wrote down below, they had to learn to rely on God as they fought in military battle as well. And then verse 10 says, "Joshua did as Moses had told him and fought against Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur, Hur, went up to the top of the hill. While Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, but whenever he put his hand down, Amalek prevailed. When Moses' hands grew heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat down on it. Then Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hand remained steady until the sun went down. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his army with the sword. The Lord then said to Moses, "Write this down on a scroll as reminder and recite it to Joshua. I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek under heaven." And Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "Indeed, my hand is lifted up toward the Lord's throne. The Lord will be at war with Amalek for generation to generation." Okay, so I wrote down that Moses supported the battle behind the scenes, busy in prayer. The faith of Israel depended on Moses' intercession, because when he prayed, Israel prevailed, and when he stopped praying, Amalek prevailed. He needed the others to come by his side and strengthen him in prayer, because remember how Aaron and Hur literally held up his hand from one side to the other side. That's really nice. I wrote, nevertheless, Joshua had to fight. Praying Moses did not eliminate what Joshua had to do. Okay. And now that was short. Now we could read Exodus 18, where it says, Moses' father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything that God had done for Moses and for God's people Israel when the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law had taken in Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, along with her 2 sons, one of whom was named Gershom, because Moses had said, I have been a resident alien in a foreign land, and the other Eliezer, because he had said, the God of my father was my helper and rescued me from Pharaoh's sword. Moses' father-in-law Jethro, along with Moses' wife and sons, came to him in the wilderness, where he camped at the mountain of God. He sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down, and then kissed him. They asked each other how they had been and went into the tent. Moses recounted to his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships that confronted them on. It's my little bedtime. That I never follow. Moses. So he recounted to his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israelites' sake, all the hardships that confronted them on the way, and how the Lord rescued them. Jethro rejoiced over all the good things the Lord had done for Israel when he rescued them from the power of Egyptians. Blessed be the Lord, Jethro exclaimed, who rescued you from the power of Egypt and from the power of Pharaoh. He has rescued the people from under the power of Egypt. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because he did wonders when the Egyptians acted arrogantly against Israel. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Moses came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in God's presence. The next day Moses sat down to judge the people, and they stood around Moses from morning until evening. Wow. So it had to be like a whole line. When Moses' father-in-law saw everything he was doing for them, he asked, what is this you're doing for the people? When Jethro saw everything that he was doing for them, he asked, what is this you're doing for the people? Why are you along sitting as judge while all the people stand around you from morning until evening? Moses replied to his father-in-law, because the people came to me to inquire of God. Whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I make a decision between one man and another. I teach them God's statutes and laws. What you're doing is not good, Moses' father-in-law said to him. You will certainly wear out both yourself and these people who are with you, because the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone. Now listen to me. I will give you some advice, and God be with you. You be the one to represent the people before God and bring their cases to him. Instruct them about the statutes. I feel like I say that wrong. Instruct them about the status. Status? No, not status. Status, whatever. In laws, and teach them the way to live and what they must do. But you should select from all the people able men, God-fearing, trustworthy, and hating dishonest profit. Place them over the people as commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They should judge the people at all times. Then they can bring you every major case and judge every minor case themselves. In this way you will lighten your load, and they will bear it with you. If you do this, something's in my eye. If you do this and God so directs you, you will be able to endure, and also all the people will be able to go home satisfied. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. So Moses chose able men from all Israel and made them leaders over the people as commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They judged the people at all times. They would bring the hard cases to Moses, but they would judge every minor case themselves. Moses let his father-in-law go and he journeyed to his own land. Okay, that was it, guys. That was a pretty short video, but my notes. I said that because Moses knew God and his word, he was able to fairly settle disputes among the children of Israel. Yet all of this responsibility by himself was a massive burden. I said, great advice. The power of having someone to help you when you're struggling taking the burden on your shoulders all on your own. And I quoted that 2 is better than 1. I also said, be able to listen to godly counsel. If the people knew God's word for themselves, many disputes could be settled immediately. Always take advice. Sorry, my dog. Always take advice given to us back to the Lord. And yeah, that was it. That was it felt like a very short video. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. Yeah. I'm not sure what I could say to end this video today, but just remember that I care for you, but God cares for you way more. Bye-bye.